My heart is gonna break. Let's talk about love spells. So, love spells is one of the most misconstrued and most desired things of most people, mostly teenagers. Really? Mostly teenagers that get into magic. You know, they want some person to fall in love with them. They want to convince some person or attract a certain person to fall in love with them. Um, of course, this is mainly my opinion, partially along with my experience and my research into many of my 50 or so. You guys know how many books I have by this point, unless you're a new viewer. Guess what? I have like 50 something magic books, and I have about a decade of experience using paganism, magic, and just metaphysics in general. So, magic spells is one of the things that you will most likely find in one of the books that you will find at Barnes & Noble, Borders, or any other shop that sells magic books, any of those low magic books that talk about candle spells, cord spells, spells with herbs, basically anything that takes 5 minutes to do. Now, I do believe in the ability for a 5-minute or even less than that quick spell to actually work, but of course, it has to do with your intention, your power behind it, your ability to execute the formula that's provided, whether or not you add to it personally with your own correspondences, colors, and your own intention and things like that. But I want to set the record straight here, okay? Love spells, for the most part, and I'll get to that later, do not work. Love spells, which involve making someone else fall in love with you, do not work. Mainly because if you are trying to get somebody to fall in love with you, then one, chances are you have not done the work on your own to convince that person that you are worthy of their affection. Two, the fact is that, I mean, maybe you're trying to convince somebody that absolutely hates you that you know, they should fall in love with you. Maybe they are out of your league, you know, for lack of a better term. But hey, I teach, so I hear this stuff all the time. Or, you know, you don't think that you could get this person to be attracted to you otherwise. Now, if you refer to one of my previous videos, the acting in a chord video, my understanding with the way that magic works is the fact that it is an energetic push to help you along or quicken your intention and what reality in itself is already set up to bring you. And of course, that has to do with what you are doing in your own personal life, what your intentions are, what you are working towards, and magic itself is just a way of pushing you further towards what you want. Love spells in themselves have to do with changing somebody else's perception, opinion, and whatever they think towards what you want. Now, let's take a step back for a second. If you want somebody else to fall in love with you and they are completely oblivious to you, then what you are asking for is to manipulate or control their thinking. If you ask me, that's a little bit narcissistic and controlling to say, hey, that person, I want them, and I want them to fall in love with me. I think that love in itself is something that cannot be touched or not be affected by magic, because love in itself is a magical thing. It's an undeniable attraction between one person and the other. And to ask magic to help you with that is kind of, in my mind, taboo. Because it's essentially like if somebody is completely off your radar and somebody that you think is attractive or somebody that you like the personality of or whatever it might be, and they are not already attracted to you and you have not already started that connection to bring you together, then you're basically asking to mind control them, which is in itself, if you want to put me in a box with one of my previous videos on does magic have a color? I think magic spells that are set in the intention of convincing somebody else to love you would be black magic, because that is manipulating them, that is controlling them, and that is telling them what they should do. I mean, think about it, if you flip the perspective here, how would you like it, magic or otherwise, given a magic spell or a curse or whatever, you wouldn't even know what's happening to you if somebody is effective enough. How would you like it if someone basically told you you should be attracted to that person, you should love that person, you should be head over heels for that person, whether or not you wear heels, whatever? I would call that controlling, I would call that manipulative, I would call that BS. And so anyone that says, which I have gotten a few comments on previous vids, if you guys want to go back through my videos to take a look at it, the idea that, how can I make someone fall in love with me? The short and complete answer is you can't make someone fall in love with you. I mean, you can't change somebody's attraction. Love or attraction in itself, because it's a translation into our emotional mind. Love is literally a translation of a biological need to procreate. It's the way that our higher thinking has kind of gravitated towards the baseline activity or baseline need for our species to continue. It's a way of justifying or putting into a structure the idea that a man and a woman should, connect and create a baby. Now, LGBT issues aside, that's basically what it is. Now, you could have someone who's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, that loves somebody. That is a translation of that biological need to feel that connection with someone, whether they make a baby or not. Now, just to clarify, because I do have a strong stance on this, love is love regardless of who loves who. Man, woman, woman, woman. Transgender woman, transgender to man, or, take your pick with the label, what have you. The attraction between one or the other, in my opinion, cannot be affected by magic. You cannot make somebody love you at all. It is their choice, and if you are powerful enough with your intention, your magical abilities, and your know-how to do that, then I think you should quit working with magic at all, because the level of karmic backlash that you will get from controlling somebody is going to hurt you enough, way more than my words are, when it comes to saying, hey, quit it. Now, for my own personal experience, when it comes to attracting the right kind of person that you, A, want, and B, deserve, is possible. I think that to open yourself up to the universe through a ritual, which, by the way, I would consider high magic, because it is a very well planned out ritual, because anything that's just, you run upstairs, you grab 2 candles, or, how many ever candles you want, and you cast a circle, and you end up saying, hey, universe, or God A, or God B, send me someone to love. It can work, but chances are you're not going to get that much of a good relationship out of it. The more intention that you put into a spell that has to do with attracting the right person. Why do I have such an indigestion tonight? My apologies. Anyway, the more that you put into any spell, for that matter, the more of a result and the better result that you are going to get. So, I'm exhausted. Anyway, the fact is that love spells or saying, hey, how can I make somebody love me? That isn't going to work. You can't make, like Jane A love you, regardless of what your intention is or whatever, through a spell. If you want that person to love you, you have to act in accord, and we're all mundane physical beings on the outside, yet spiritual beings on the inside. So we have to interact with each other through those mundane means first. It's like an onion. You got to peel the layers. So, if you are thinking about doing a love spell, don't do it. It's just going to backfire at you because you're basically sending a dart at somebody that is, one, not going to affect them. Two, mind controlling is terrible. Mind controlling is worth the worst karma ever. How would you like it if somebody mind controlled you? That's essentially what those basic love spells are, is convincing somebody and basically mind controlling them to look your way and magnetize to you. Just, on a side note, if you are planning on doing any spell whatsoever, think about how you would like it if somebody else did the same thing to you. And if you don't like it, or if you would not appreciate that action being taken against you, don't do it. So, love spells, and any of them that you read in any books that you find, will not work. The idea behind a love spell is to get somebody attracted to you, and that is mind control. Now, if you want to attract love into your life, there are a couple of steps that you can take. One, learn how to love yourself, first of all. Everybody says, yeah, I love myself, I know who I am, and I'm appreciative of myself, and I know exactly what I want. Well, those short answers of, yeah, I love myself, I got this. Those clearly mean to me that you are not digging enough into yourself to really understand what the issues behind your self-consciousness and the construct that you have in your head of who you are really is. So let me give you an example. Before I met my fiance, I was in a terrible, terrible, emotionally abusive relationship. And after that, I declared to myself in circle, with the attention of the deities that I was working with at the time. This is about 2 years before I started working with the Necronomicon. For those of you that have watched my Necronomicon videos. And I said that I am much more deserving of a positive relationship that is going to bring me joy, of a positive relationship that I'm going to feel happy in, of a positive relationship that I'm going to grow in. And, I've talked to my fiance about this, and, both of us are under the firm belief that, that is one of the factors that got us to meet, is the idea that she herself opened up to the idea of meeting the most wonderful and most perfect person for her. And I opened up and accepted the idea of meeting the most wonderful and perfect person for me. And hey, look where I am now. I'm engaged. I'm going to get married, whenever we figure out a date, whatever. That's going to happen. Did I say, hey, I saw this girl at at the store, and dude, she was hot, and I want to get that girl? No. I made it completely ambiguous, and I left it up to the universe. And the most perfect person in the world for me found me. And that is honestly the way that a love spell works. If you are super specific about something and you want somebody to love you that honestly is not on your radar, or you are not on theirs, then you're shooting blanks in the dark, and it's not going to work for you because you are asking somebody who isn't already attracted to you to change their mind through magic. So effectively, you are doing mind control, and to me, that is an absolute taboo. So, love spells in the idea of making someone love you is absolute BS. Love spells in the idea of opening yourself up to what the universe is going to attract you towards and who you are supposed to be with, because in all honesty, at this point in my life, I do believe in soulmates, because compared to anybody else that I've ever been with, I couldn't imagine myself with anybody else. God damn. I wish I met my fiance when I was like, 8, 12, whatever. I wish I met her a million years ago and I didn't have to go through any of this crap. And for those of us that push towards going for somebody that doesn't want us, or pushing too hard towards something we want, it's not going to happen. When I was in college, I dated a girl that, with my maladaptive coping mechanisms, without going into too much of a story, she told me once that if you have a pile of sand in your hand and you squeeze it too tight because you want it, that sand is going to fall out of your hand. It's going to squeeze out and it's just going to fall out. That's because if you want something too hard, you're going to lose it. But if you open your hand to accepting what it is that you get, and you are appreciative for it, and you are happy with it, then it's going to stay right there. So, in short, love spells don't work to convince somebody that they love you, or to convince you that you should be with them. Love spells in the idea of that you accept self-love, you know who you are, and you love yourself, and you are ready to love someone else to the amount that you love yourself, granted that you are completely aware of who you are as a person. Then they will work, and the correct person will come into your life. Then in that way, love spells do work. Love spells work in a way of attracting the right person to you, but they cannot make your crush love you. Anyway, good hunting.